Hey, how are you? Welcome back to Premier Talk TV, episode 6. We've made it this far with a lot of familiar faces. Gentlemen, how are we? James, kick us off, baby.
Yeah, doing well. Good to see everyone. What's up, boys? How's it going? Nice neckwear, Kelman.
Thank you. Got my new gold chain today with a little bling. Love it. Got to represent the boys.
Top of the Derby. Bron?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad to be back.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining, guys. Thanks for taking the time out. Hey, and if any of our viewers like the podcast, like the YouTube video, please like, subscribe. You know the deal. Anyways, match week 9 talking points. Let's start with the Derby at hand, the Merseyside Derby. Bron, you're a Liverpool fan. How do you feel about it?
Not much of a derby anymore, I'd say.
Yeah,
But
Okay.
I thought
it's always a derby. It's just not much of a contest.
I like that. I like that. Convincing win. I thought we played well. Even before the red card, I thought we were dominating the game. Salah back at the double, so my man's back to scoring goals, doing his thing, which we like to see. But yeah, I mean, 24 shots to 6, 80% possession. All the stats are there to back it up that it was a pretty convincing win for us.
Really, really. So I was watching it. I didn't think you guys were too convincing. In fact, I thought Salah was kind of off the pace for the first 15 minutes.
Okay, it's a 90-minute game.
Well, no, I agree.
75 other minutes there, man. 75 other minutes.
No, I understand that. And he came back with a brace. I mean, I wasn't finished, but I do think this result, kind of similar to the Brighton result, you guys don't look as convincing as you have in the past.
That's fair. I would say that. I think obviously we're fresh in the midfield with a couple of
new players. Yeah, you got a lot of new stuff going on, really, isn't it?
New players. I think defensively over the last few years, we've gotten very shaky. I think obviously Virgil isn't at the level he was a few years ago. Trent obviously is struggling just across the back line as a whole. But nonetheless, a win is a win. And in the Premier League, you take them when you get them.
I don't know why it seems like I felt like whenever I see Ashley Young playing at right back or out, I think he's a good player, but he's 38. I think it's like when him and James Milner are playing, fullback, you have to think like if you're a winger, especially if you're a young kind of quick winger, you're getting very excited when you see you're lined up against them. And I thought Luis Diaz absolutely turned him inside out, man. That was like, he didn't know what day it was, and then I think it was only a matter of time until he chopped him down at some point. So I don't know about this trend of old fullbacks. I don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree at the outside back. They get caught a lot, but it just shows the IQ of the game at that age. They're able to compete, and just because they're in Thiago Silva too, he just gets in positions way before he reads it before it happens, and he's already there. But as an outside back,
playing in the middle,
it's outside back way harder.
You can be protected, right? When you play in the middle, you can be protected on either side, and then when you get isolated out 1v1, man, you get put on toast sometimes.
Yeah. I think Klopp needs to change his ways with that center forward and get Nunez in there.
Oh yeah.
Do it. Start that man every game. Although he's a good super sub. Maybe he misses his Origi there, scoring those late winners, and he wants Nunez to do the same thing. But he's a goal scoring machine if he gets those minutes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, dude, help my fantasy team out, man. I start him every week, and he gets 20, 30 minutes, and he's just saving the team. One interesting talking point on that though was not the red card, because I think that was definitely deserved by Ashley Young, but more along the lines of the penalty that was given up. That's kind of where the game, not saying that you guys weren't dominating the entire game, right? But I don't think you were as lethal in front of goal. And then after that, the floodgates opened. Everton were chasing the game at that point. And if anyone knows, once you start opening up towards the Liverpool team, the best attribute they have is their counterattacking football. It's phenomenal. It's beautiful to watch. And I kind of, at that point, the game was over, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, we look at all the games this year, there's really one team who's probably played better on a red card, and it's been Liverpool. I think anytime we get a red, we kind of up our game a little bit. So any team that gets one, it's going to be tough. But, yeah, I mean, the penalty, obvious turning point to get one. Obviously, when you're going up against 10 men, you want to put it away a little bit earlier and take that stress off. Especially a team like Everton that might be able to linger around and they might snatch one goal and park the bus. But, yeah, Money Mo back at the double, baby. That's all I got to say. He's hot and he's not going to stop.
I don't think there's much more to say. I think it was a pretty all-inclusive game. Up the Reds, they're back. It's going to be a hell of a season. It looks like. Well, moving a little south, let's talk about the London derby that went on, Chelsea versus Arsenal. I'm going to reserve my rights till the end to speak on this. So, Kelman, how about you start this off?
Yeah, I'll definitely start us off on this one. I think we all can agree, other than Mr. DJ over there, that Arsenal did not deserve a point that game, and they were extremely lucky. And they'll take it, obviously. I would absolutely take a point if I performed how they did. That it could have been 4-5, 5-0, and then the goalkeeper mistake changed the entire game. And that you've been seeing it's been reoccurring with every team all year. The goalkeeper mistakes leading to goals and changing games, and that's exactly what happened.
And you'd like that. I thought you'd like that one. I was waiting you to talk about the goalkeepers.
Honestly, it happens to everyone, and not just Onana either.
Exactly.
Every game I watch, the best 2-3 chances in the game come from the goalkeeper passing it to the other team. It's I don't know.
You got to tip your hat to Declan Rice, though. That was no easy finish. That was no easy finish right there.
Yeah, I don't. What was wrong with DJ? You tell me about Arsenal. What was wrong with them? I felt like they were not at the races for 70 odd minutes, and even I thought it was Chelsea's game to really lose, right? And I thought that they kind of just took their foot off the pedal. I think Pochettino made like a string of subs in like a short period of time, and then the goalkeeper mistake happened, and then it felt like the Arsenal were always going to score the second goal. It really did feel like that. But up until then, it looked like you guys weren't even there. The fans are cheering when they're like passing the ball around and stuff. It felt like, you're a mid-table team that were just done with it. But then it just turned around. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, no, all credit to Chelsea. I mean, as much as I can talk about Arsenal, I think this is the first time, at least honestly, for the first 60 minutes, 70 minutes of the game, you talk to a Chelsea fan, this actually looked like a Pochettino side, right? High pressing. I mean, Conor Gallagher, I've never seen a man work his socks off the way he did that game. A lot of kudos to him, but this looked like a Pochettino side of latest Spurs. They were known for high press, win the ball back in favorable areas, and pass it around, a lot of fluid football, and that's exactly what was going on. Arsenal didn't look up for the races. Our wingers were locked down. I mean, Martinelli, Gusto had a day with Martinelli. Basically didn't even look like he was playing. Saka, I mean, he later in the game, he grew into the game, but Cucurella was on top of him the entire time, gave him no space to breathe. There was nothing going on, right? And then Odegaard went missing. Man, I mean, I could dissect this all I want, but at the end of the day, we didn't show up to play. It was a lot of it gives me hints of when we went to Newcastle, right? I think I brought this up in our group chat a couple times. When we went to Newcastle chasing a top 4 finish, 2 years ago, needing that, and they just beat us to every tackle. They wanted it more. It was like, honestly, it was the same game. It was almost the same thing when we in the Champions League when we just lost in France, right? So I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not looking good. We really haven't played that well, other than against Bournemouth. And I mean, that's not. I think every team's played well against Bournemouth at this point. So yeah it was.
Well, we'll make sure that changes soon.
Don't worry.
Say that. But regardless, man, a lot of big time players didn't show up. One that did. Baron, thanks for bringing it up. Rice is a man amongst men, at least in our midfield.
Yeah, he played pretty well.
So I have the kudos to him. I think Tomiyasu's shown his worth this season. He's looked really good. Zinchenko had a horrible game. But talking about keeper mistakes, I mean, Raya was horrible too. Mudryk didn't even mean to shoot that. He crossed it and it went in our goal.
So, that he's saying that he did mean to shoot. So
I would say the same thing, dude.
Pochettino said he meant to shoot, and then somebody else said he meant to shoot because
No, he didn't.
It doesn't look like it, right? But he said the goalkeeper coach told him to put it to the back post or put it far because Raya cheats on the near post, which he does, obviously. And so I don't know if he's like really shooting. He's just trying to like chip it back there. Who knows? But that one really can't go in. That changed,
Well, unfortunately, I'm in agreement with you boys. I don't think we deserve. I think before the game, if you talk to a Chelsea fan, they would take a point. I think watching the game, teams in shambles, giving up a 2-goal lead, especially to an Arsenal team that looks subpar. I mean, we've looked the same way in big games all year, besides the City game, right? So I don't know. It's interesting. It's something we got to figure out. I think Thomas Partey was a big miss. I'm not really sure what's going on with him. But besides that, man, it was tough. It was tough. But it did look like at the end of the game, Arsenal was going to push on and steal the game, right? I think after the first goal went in, Trossard at the back post, Gusto fell asleep. fantastic ball by Bukayo Saka. I mean, the wonderful thing about that guy is he can go missing for 65 minutes, 70 minutes of a match, but still comes up with the difference maker, at least for our team. But man, yeah, I can't say more to Chelsea. I think Chelsea's going to kick on. We were worried about that team with the fixture list coming up, and I think they kind of proved that, hey, maybe we can't put a full 90 minutes together, but this is the first time we put 70 minutes together other than playing Liverpool. And the first game of the season is kind of a nuance per se. But, yeah. I can't say much, gentlemen. Brian, you're pretty quiet. What do you think?
I mean, you hit it right on the head, right? Chelsea are going to go out of that game disappointed that they didn't get 3 points. Like you said, Rice was amazing. One thing I did want to touch on, I know a few weeks ago, you actually picked Maddison over Odegaard because you said he can't show up in big games, and another big game, and he went ghost again. So, yeah, obviously if he's missing, that team is going to be struggling no matter what. But, yeah, I mean, big props to Arsenal for at least fighting till the end and snagging a point out of a crucial game.
I think sorry, G, I just think while we're talking about Odegaard, just compare him to the Chelsea captain on the day, Gallagher, right? Think about the difference. And I know we talked about, Baran, you weren't here last week, but when we talked about like picking an England team or something, Kelman and I picked in our midfield, we had Gallagher in there. And I thought that was exactly exemplified, what I like about him as a player. So
yeah, I mean, I think a big difference with him and Odegaard when you look at him is Gallagher isn't as skillful and things like that. But even on a bad day, Gallagher is gonna run until he's gonna run until his legs fall off.
Yeah.
And for a guy like Odegaard, like, I don't know, maybe is he a little above himself and thinks, oh, I'm playing bad, but I don't have to work, because that's a big difference for a team. If their captain's playing bad, but he's all over the pitch, making tackles, getting stuck in, it brings a different energy to the team. But yeah, I mean, Gallagher, like DJ said, man, that guy was all over the place. He was playing like he was 2 guys himself.
Well, another player, and I know I was talking to Kelman about this, was Cole Palmer, right? I think, Kel, you want to speak about him and his performance and actually kind of the injection, the catalyst that Chelsea might have needed going forward.
Yeah. No, we were talking about this earlier, and he's changed that team completely. It's to go along with Pochettino. I think having him there change everyone's mentality. And I'll go between him and Gallagher as well, because Gallagher last year was lost. I did not want to see Gallagher step on a pitch. But I have Budon's brother actually always talked about Gallagher just being miserable on that team and ruining that team. And all of a sudden with Pochettino, he's come around and is one of their top players and is day in, day out just working hard. But Palmer as well, having him on that wing and having those two connect in that high press that you talked about, starting with Palmer in the front 3, is unreal. And he creates chances, and he's been a big step up for that team.
Yeah. I mean, like we were talking about in the chat earlier, I mean, I think if he kicks on with this kind of form, he might just get a call up to England. He should get a call up to England. Whether he's going to be on that flight for the Euros, we'll see. I think he's kind of playing his way into potentially being a backup, potentially being a starter, really depending on form at that point. But yeah, Chelsea looks like they're going in the right direction finally. I think it's a long time coming, especially last season. You talked to any Chelsea fan, but shout out Nini. I know that he's got some good insights. You got to get the man on the pod sometime, that's for sure.
Before we move on, though, I do want one more thing about goalkeepers. Because I need to ask James a question here.
We didn't talk enough about it. So
no, I know this man is obsessed with goalkeepers playing out of the back.
I'm not.
But I just want to know, like, when does the risk outweigh that benefit? Because
when you start fucking conceding goals, that's when you start fucking it up. That's
pretty cut and dry.
Yeah,
goals and they still do it.
To be fair, I think it tosses up between there's a lot of things we don't know. Like, is that like the manager's plan? They go in with like these 4-year plans, 5-year plans. Is that in their plan? I don't know. In our first year, we're going to try and build out of the back. It doesn't matter what happens. I imagine, right, something along those lines is tied into Ten Hag and United. I imagine there's something like that's known throughout the club that we're going to build out of the back. That's why we bought this goalkeeper. They could make 10 million mistakes. It doesn't matter. They're going to keep on doing that, at least this season, So it's not my decision, right? If you shot from halfway. Sorry, if you shot from halfway and it goes in, no one's going to say you shouldn't shoot from halfway. But if you miss every time, people are going to tell you to stop fucking shooting from halfway. So I think you just have to take a little bit of good with the bad. Does it outweigh when you see 2 mistakes in the same game? It makes it look really bad. But I think that's the way the game is going, to control the game from start to finish, right? From the beginning of your possession right to the end. That's the way the game's going. To do that, you have to have a goalkeeper. So, yeah, I think it we'll see.
Well, one interesting point on that, though, James. I totally agree with the total football. I think Pep came in here, kind of changed the Premier League. Everyone's trying to do it, right? I mean, it doesn't, from ETH to Arteta, who studied underneath them. Everyone's trying to play out of the back. They're trying to get or at least keepers that are more comfortable on the ball. One thing that I thought was interesting, and we'll talk on it a little bit more when it was the Brighton game. What he did is he played long. Usually Steele plays short, Brighton plays short, but he changed the entire game up, changed everything. And I thought that De Zerbi, I think we need more managers that go against the status quo other than, Sean Dyche, because I don't want to see any Sean Dyche football anymore. But De Zerbi switches it up. You wouldn't see anyone. They just stick to their game plan, right? I don't know if we're going to talk about the Brighton game later, and I'm sorry I brought this in, but it was interesting because a team like Brighton that always plays out of the back, I'd never seen Steele play as many long balls as he did against Man City, but maybe that's the only way to break them down, especially.
Well, you could say we talked about this earlier in the season when we remember Kellen and I had this big disagreement about Man City and how I said that they will go a lot more direct, and then we had this big argument about just disagreement about what direct meant or whatever. But you see it with Man City now because they have Haaland. He doesn't care. He'll just put, if they press Man City high, Edison will just find Haaland, and then it's 1v1, and that guy's this 6'3" Viking, so you're not going to get the ball off him, so they don't mind doing that. And I think Everton were doing that quite successfully to Calvert-Lewin. So, I mean, if you have somebody up there that can deal with a long ball, you can always use them as an outlet. But everybody has players that can pass on the field, and a lot of those players 4 of them at the back most of the time, and then you have a goalkeeper. So why not use your numbers? So I think if you have a little bit of diversity in your squad, then you can play that way. But if you don't, then you probably can't, So
I feel like for a United's perspective, the last 2 games, we didn't play out of the back as much. And what do you know? Onana saved some shots. What do you know? All of a sudden, you can save a ball when you're not worried about playing with your feet.
I don't know if I can take you seriously with a clock around your neck.
That's fair.
Don't worry.
Anyways,
but I mean, I don't know.
Well, gentlemen, let's move on to the next hottest team in the Premier League right now, Aston Villa, cooking under Unai Emery. Bowen scores again. What's going on here, Baran? Your take.
I mean, we talked about Bowen before, and the guy, I personally said that his production that he's on right now isn't sustainable, but he's making me eat my words a little bit. I mean, this guy's making a big case. Yeah, he's eating right now. He's eating, but I mean, he's making a big case for England, I think, in the Prem. He's carrying that team a little bit, right? I think a guy like Bowen, for me, would regress in a better team production-wise, but he would play a lot better, if that makes sense. And so I think I would love to see him go somewhere else.
Yeah, he's still young. He's like 26 or something.
Yeah, he's not. I think he's 26.
Yeah.
Where would he fit?
Where would he fit?
Probably United.
I mean,
that would be amazing.
Probably. That would probably be the best fit.
Honestly, yeah.
Us buying Bowen and starting him over Anthony would be peak football.
Oh yeah.
Oh my yeah. I mean, for you guys, yeah. Anything.
Yeah,
over
exactly. That's peak United, right?
Yeah, he might not score as many goals and things like that, but I think he would play way better with guys around him. But I mean, he made me eat my words, man. The guy's not stopping. He's a goal scoring machine right now.
It's kind of like Grealish, I think, like a parallel comparison would be like him leaving Villa. Like maybe he doesn't score as many goals because he's not the main man, but obviously, like when he plays at Man City, and you can see how silky he is and how he can link up with better teammates. Like he plays better, I think is right. That's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, you definitely saw that when Grealish moved, and it's definitely not uncommon for someone to move to a better club and then start playing a lot better. McAllister, even he played well for Brighton, but at Liverpool, it seems like my God, what a player. So
it's tough right now with him. It's tough. He's playing a little farther back.
Deeper, right?
He's playing a little deeper than I'd like, and I think January is going to be big for us to get a 6.
You didn't get a Fabinho replacement, right?
Like a Fabinho replacement, yeah. Someone that can step in there and let him push a little higher.
Yeah. He's more mobile, box to box, right? So he's made a couple of mistakes when he's played as a whole role, but everyone knows that he's just covering a spot right now. So yeah.
Kel, what do you think about Villa?
I mean, they seem unbeatable at home right now. 4-1 in the game before that was against Brighton. They won 6-1.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about them at home. On the counterattack, they're so pacey. Douglas Luiz is a monster in that midfield. He's very, very underrated, underappreciated, and he just bosses the midfield in every single home game. On the road, it's a little bit different, but at home, they are very hard to beat.
Yeah. I think Douglas Luiz is kind of, I don't know if he's flown under the radar. I agree with you. So I feel like he doesn't get talked about a lot, but I think he's been really good there for a while. Even when, before Emery, like a couple of seasons ago, I thought he was top. And he's playing internationally, right? Does he get a game for Brazil? I think he does, right? So
he gets the call up at least, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's also now they've changed the international rules. We could see that becoming more of a factor for signing those kinds of players. Before, maybe you had to have 5 homegrown or something, and he would count against that quota. But you could see maybe somebody picking him up. He's like one of those Kovacic kind of signings, almost Nunes Tavares. Sorry, similar to one of those that could just get added to a big squad, maybe.
You talking about Douglas Luiz?
Mm-hmm.
So Arsenal was actually in for him. In the summer. Yeah, we were looking at him. I'm not sure what didn't shake out, but I would love to have the guy. He's fantastic coming, like you mentioned. He did Boston midfield. I thought Watkins played extremely well too. I mean, as raw as I think that guy is, he's still got the production.
Great
guy to reach production.
Yeah.
What's up? Yeah, Bowen's got production as well, man. He's actually rolling back the years. It looks like him in the championship at Hull City when he was bringing that team on his back as well. Over at West Ham, but dude, so I thought this game was gonna be a lot closer. But yeah, Aston Villa under Unai Emery is humming. I know if we had Parker here, he'd want us to mention McGinn a little bit because he's got a corner for the guy. But
that's right.
Hey, he pulled up an assist. He is the heartbeat to that team, in my opinion, I think. So, yeah, I mean, we can't say anything more. I think tougher tests are ahead, but right now they're sitting in, was it fifth, sixth?
Yeah, fifth.
Yeah.
Fourth.
Wow, on 19 points. Wow.
Fifth, yeah. Isn't it crazy to think about this time last year? Was it this time last year Stevie G was still in charge?
Stevie G was still in charge, yeah. Actually,
he got let go halfway through the season, right?
Well, funny enough, yeah. So I was looking at obviously you make your rounds on Twitter or whatnot or X, and then you look at it, and the only teams that have scored more points since Unai Emery has taken over is Man City and Arsenal.
That's crazy.
What he's doing with that club is incredible, man. I think he's got a bigger bankroll than he did in Spain, and
probably.
Yeah, and now he's able to create a team. He's got a team where there's less pressure too. I think he could have done okay at Arsenal. I mean, there was a time where he went on 23 games unbeaten. A lot of ties in there, obviously, but still, I mean, there was promise there. I just think once you're at a big club, you're under the microscope, right? Any manager. So you start slipping up. It didn't help that he was saying good evening every
you love
every
that one.
interview if you were hopping on him. But yeah, I love what he's doing at Villa. And to be honest with you, they're making a case for a big dark horse, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, we're moving on. Villa's cooking. Chelsea looks back to their own. You still got the Titans at the top. But what about at the bottom? Gary O'Neill, the Wolves manager, goes back to his old club, Bournemouth. You got to love to see it. The Scott Parker replacement said he wasn't good enough in the summer. Axed him. Brings in a new Spaniard playing free-flowing football. Bringing it to Bournemouth, the South Coast. And he comes there and beats his old team.
Yeah. I really wanted to talk about this one because I hate injustices in football, kind of when a manager gets blamed for things or clubs use a manager as a scapegoat or all this kind of stuff. So I'm glad that we're talking about this because I wanted to. I just wanted to mention the fact that he kept Bournemouth up. He did so well. I think he was, when he took over as caretaker manager, he was nominated for manager of the month or something because he did so well in his first a little bit in charge. He kept Bournemouth, who were a terrible team, realistically. He kept them up, and he signed a contract, and then they just axed him. So a lot of things maybe happen behind the scenes we don't know about, but the fact that he immediately got a new job, right, at somewhat a similar kind of level, right, Premier League relegation, right, bottom half of the table, kind of Wolves and Bournemouth, and then he went back and beat them, and I love that. I like to see people come back and go back to their old clubs when they're not respected and do well. Hate to say it, DJ, but immediately comes to mind is Van Persie coming to United and then going playing against Arsenal and then bashing him, you know. So like just players or managers going back to their old club and not getting the respect that I think they deserve.
Wait, you're talking about mistreatment. What are you talking about? We didn't mistreat Van Persie.
When he came back for United, you guys booed the hell out of him. It sucks.
Yeah, he's a coward. Get him out of here.
There it is. So I like to see them come back and get their just desserts, you know. So in particular, speaking about O'Neill, I think he's a low-key manager, right? He's one of those managers who don't really grab the headlines, you don't really talk about a lot, but I think we've seen Wolves play this season. I thought they've actually been very good and actually relatively unlucky. I think Kelman, when we played against them, United, I thought we were quite lucky to get away with the result. I think it was at the first game of the season, even. I think they've actually been really, really good whenever I watched them. They played transitional counter-attacking football. Maybe a big part of that is Neto, who's been unbelievable, lights out for them. So, yeah, what a player. They lost Tavares in the middle, and you thought that might hinder them. But I think, like I said, I still think they're playing good football. Sorry, Kel, you're going to say something.
No, we talked about it a few weeks ago, how they're playing really good football. They just don't have that final third quality.
Yeah.
If they can find that, they can maybe get up to the top half of the table.
Yeah. So nice to see him go back there and do well, I think. And like Kel said, there may be one or two pieces away from really, you know, becoming a solid team.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Actually, I'm a big fan of Gary O'Neill. I think he's definitely a guy that you can get in a locker room, fire you up. I think that's exactly what he did with the Wolves.
Yeah.
Like also, he had so much class at the end of the game, man. I thought he would bring it up a little bit because I mean, they were poking and prodding, right? They were like, hey, go back to your home club. No, but you know, when he walked home, got through the door, shut the door, everyone's out, and he's in front of his family. He's like, that felt good, right? So it's fantastic to see. I'm a big fan of Gary O'Neill. I think what he did with Bournemouth, as you spoke on, James, is incredible. Keeping that team up, had no business staying up.
Yeah.
I do, however, think, and just because big fan of Bournemouth still. I don't know why I'm a big fan of Bournemouth. I'm trying to figure that out. But Tyler Adams is coming back in the winter. I do believe the man's going to shore up the midfield. But a couple talking points on the game. Cook got her straight red. So Bournemouth was up 1-0. They're actually playing pretty good footy.
Yeah.
And Cook just headbutts, who was that? Huang. Yeah, headbutts Huang.
Yeah.
Yeah, and out of nowhere too, right? I mean, he fouled him. It was a bad foul. Huang gets up, obviously very reactionary, and then all I see next is Cook just going, ooh, right here, right in Huang's face. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
You can tell he's like he's lost his head, right? That's the kind of thing that would happen in like mid 2000s. You know, you'd see like a lot of that kind of stuff, like heads getting together and stuff. But then every time it used to be just a straight red, and then people stopped doing it. But like he must have lost his head, you know, and then just headbutted them, and he's really gone for it, and then.
It was over after that. I mean, Neto kicked on. Well, first of all, I'd say Cook started watching Rodri play from 3 weeks ago when he was headbutting people as well, right? So, but no, I mean, watching that further, Neto, dude, man, you get that guy going off the wing and cutting in the middle, and a defender has to make a decision whether you take on this guy that's excellent on the ball or he's going to slot it through to a subpar player as Cunha. But Cunha put it away this time, which is beautiful. But, yeah, I mean – I think they're playing attractive footy. Whether they're going to break top 10, I don't believe, but they're definitely going to stay up.
Neto, hold on really quickly. Neto or Anthony Kelman? What do you think?
Oh, Neto. Every single day of the week. Oh, that guy's nasty.
Moran, you agree as well?
Oh, yeah. There's a long list of players I'm choosing over Anthony.
Man, I think Neto starts on 17 or 20 teams.
Yeah? I think he's like who did they buy? Jota, right? Went to Liverpool as well. So they sold Neves, right? And then they also had remember when they had all those players in the same team. Jimenez as well was up top and was cooking, you know. So what a team they had and what players have gone through that club recently. But just wanted to see what you guys would think about the Anthony trade. Would you trade? Like, probably, right?
I would get rid of Rashford before Anthony, but shit, if you want to go Anthony, we can do that.
Rashford wasn't part of the question, but you'll make him part of the question. So
Here we go. Pushing that agenda. Last thing I'd like to say on Gary O'Neill, I think what he did with what he's done this season with Wolves is incredible, right? They lost Ruben Neves to Saudi Arabia. They lost Nunez to Man City. That midfield was desolated. And for them to keep performing, I mean, you saw against Manchester United, they probably arguably could have won that game, right? And they've had great performances against their team. They beat Man City. They just came a comeback win inspired by a red card. But yeah, I mean, I think they're going to get a tune out of the team. Someone that can't get a tune out of the team, De Zerbi at Brighton. What is going on? We're talking about this team as a dark horse playing fluid football, winless in the last few games. But then again, they are doing the balancing act between Europe and the Premier League. Baran, what do you think?
They just got to close a game out. I mean, they've had games where they've had chances to win, and they don't. I mean, obviously they've got, what was that, 2 weeks ago when they took that big loss, 6-1?
Yeah.
So apart from that, I mean, up front, they have a lot of quality. Obviously, a manager who probably soon is going to be at a top club, I'd say. I mean, I don't know if you guys heard Pep, but it sounds like Guardiola said he's probably – not probably, but he could potentially be the next Manchester City head coach, you know, if he's gone. So high praise from one of the best of all time. But, yeah, I mean, they need to do something about putting together a full 90 minutes, because if you don't do that in the Prem, your chances of winning plummet dramatically.
Oh, yeah. Kel.
Yeah, I have to agree.
Yeah, they I think we don't touch on it. They have the third most goals scored in the Premier League this year, but they also, aside from the bottom three, conceded the most goals this year. And you guys are going to hate me for this. I'm going to go right back to goalkeeper errors. They play out of the back and just give up these easy chances, and it leads to goals. And that's I'm going back to the.
Could you counter that by saying a lot of their goals scored though are from building out of the back as well?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. That's where when does the risk outweigh the benefit? But still, I mean, conceding 18 goals in the first 9 games is not going to help you stay in that top 6 where you're reaching for.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, but they're sitting in 7th, gentlemen. I mean,
That's
as much as it is doom and gloom and they're not getting results, they're beating the bad teams, losing against the good teams. That's what Arsenal did to survive top 4 for the longest time.
Are we being too harsh? Maybe I feel like they've lost against City, Liverpool, Villa away, and Chelsea. That's like 4 teams, all 4 teams that we've talked about being very, very good this year. A 5th one in there is just a draw against Marseille. That's Europe, so whatever. But we just talked about Villa doing really, really well. Liverpool getting back to winning ways, right? City obviously being City, and then Chelsea starting to come right with their squad, starting to play really well. So are we maybe being unfair to Brighton, or have they just gone through a rough patch, or do we think like the tide's turning? What do you guys think?
I'll definitely say we're unfair.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
We how the season started, we put them in that top team category immediately.
Yeah.
And obviously it's looking at these, like you mentioned, City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Villa, all unreal right now. I don't want to put Villa in that top team category yet either. No. I don't think they're going to be there. But City, Liverpool, and Chelsea are 3 of the best.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't put Villa in there, but you're putting Chelsea in there?
Well, 100%.
Okay, all right. My bad. I'm just looking at the table and Chelsea's still sitting in 10th.
That's all right. I don't know. Watching the games, I don't know if I've seen many better teams play than Chelsea all season this year.
Well, you must have watched 2 games.
A few. I'll give the City, Liverpool, Arsenal, those 3, and then Chelsea would be right after that.
Spurs. You watched 2 teams play, Chelsea and United.
Spurs.
Okay.
Spurs top of the table.
Yeah, Spurs as well. But Chelsea sit right on that same pedestal for me.
I agree with you. I think they're better than what their results portray. I would agree, but you said that's super weird.
Yeah.
But, yeah. No, that's great. I think Brighton. I'm looking at their next fixtures. They've got Fulham at home, Everton away, Sheffield United at home, Forest away. My God, if those aren't games that you can win, then if you're not winning those games, that's when maybe we should be talking about not playing so well. But you got to, those are the games you have to win, you know, like, especially if it's Forest away, Everton, you know, not exactly a stronghold. It's not exactly hard to get points there right now. So yeah, I could see them turning around. Hopefully we'll see a resurgence, because I think everyone's a big fan of Brighton. Yeah.
Oh yeah. If I'm not mistaken, your family lived there for a bit.
We did live there for a little bit. Yeah. So I've been there. I've been to the Amex. It's a nice little town. It's quite nice. It's cold though and windy, but yeah, pretty cool.
Okay. Hey, I'm rocking with it. Baron, any last thoughts on Brighton?
Yeah, I mean, like Kelmo said, like, we put them in that top tier before the season started, and it's almost like we had to take a step back and let them grow into that team that can become top tier. So maybe a little harsh, but four games coming up that, I mean, should be 4 wins in my mind. And so if they're not taking care of business, then it's going to be tough when they're coming up against the top teams, because they're going to show no mercy. So I think we give them a little bit of time, let them grow into it. Obviously, they're having some growing pains right now, but I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, that rounds out our match week 9 talking points. Hey, we're at the end of October. We're getting into spooky season. Nothing more spookier than who's going to win the Ballon d'Or, gentlemen. I guess the front runner is what we could say is Mbappe, Messi, Haaland. Where do we stand on this? James, you want to go first?
Man, I think if I could just like play a clip of Pep had this question earlier, and I think like I agree completely with what he said, is like there should be one category for Messi and then one category for everybody else. Because for me, as long as Messi's playing, he's the greatest player that I've ever seen. That is, nobody even comes close to me. So as long as he's playing, I think it's a more legitimate claim now, because he's won the World Cup and he's completed football. But man, that guy is head and shoulders above everybody else that I've ever seen play. So for me, Messi, and then I don't care. Let the kids fight over second. I'm not bothered. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
TJ thought he was going to disagree.
Hey.
Obviously, stats are big for this one, but you guys already know, for me, it's what do they do if they don't have any goals? And Messi creates everything. And Haaland will be a ghost on the field if he's not scoring goals. But Mbappe's still good, but like you said, after the World Cup, it's got to go to Messi.
Ron?
Mbappe's good. He'll never win it if he doesn't leave France. He's got to get out of League One. If he stays there, he's never going to win it. But it's going to be Messi again. I mean, wow. It's hard, Deej. It's hard. The World Cup.
How could it
World
not be?
Cup, I mean, I think in the calendar year he had like 40 goals and 20 assists. So you're talking about stats. Like, he's got that to back it up. I'll go back to, what was it, 2002 when Brazil won the World Cup?
Mm-hmm.
R9 won the Ballon d'Or. He scored like 13 goals that year, but they won the World Cup.
Yeah.
So you're going to tell me that a man like Messi, who has 50, 60 goal involvements and wins the World Cup, isn't going to win it?
Yeah, it's probably counting MLS and goal involvements as well. So
mate,
this is
if
interesting.
you've seen him in the MLS, he's like took that team to another dimension. Like, he's just insane.
They were the worst team in the MLS, and then they won like 13 games in a row. They won Leagues Cup. Like,
oh my God, can I talk? Do I have the floor yet, gentlemen?
Go for it. Also, Vinicius Jr., we should mention, should probably be in the conversation.
Not yet. He had a good year.
He will be.
Coming up.
He will be.
Yeah, once the stock retires, so this should be the last time we hear of Messi win the Ballon d'Or, because he's in a retirement league. But back to what you guys were saying. He did not turn around. No, he returned. He turned around Miami FC. But you guys forget about the other signings they made. Busquets, the best center defensive mid we've ever seen play the game. Mind you, this is an Arsenal fan that hates Barcelona because they knocked us out every single year in the round of 16 in the Champions League. I hate that team, and I'm super biased. But on top of that, the outside back, please remind me from Barcelona, Alba. Yeah, there you go. Alba also joined that team. We're saying it's all Messi that did everything. Come on, man. Who's the creators for him? Exactly. Let's not shun the creators a little bit at Inter Miami FC. I can't believe we're talking about this on this podcast. Anyways, back to my argument. I think Haaland deserves it. I think winning the Premier League's the hardest league to win in the world. I think everyone could agree with that. I think Right. Treble. They won the right. Well, I guess it alludes to the treble, but they won the Champions League, which is the hardest tournament to ever win. Yet we discount him because he isn't a creator. Messi was in a farmers league getting engagements because he's passing to Mbappe and Mbappe and Neymar the entire time to a PSG team that was primed to win if they were ever going to win the Champions League, and they fall short. Of course they fall short, man. They just weren't good enough, and nor is he to win the Ballon d'Or anymore. I think the time of Messi and Ronaldo are over. I think it's about time to say goodbye. This is probably I think he's going to win it because I think it's the perfect time for FIFA to say, oh, goodbye, Messi. You've done so much for the game. Let me give you another Ballon d'Or as charity, as he's done multiple times in his career. But hey, here we are. Everyone's over here brainwashed by the media. I disagree. I'm mad, but here we are. Messi's going to win it. Haaland deserves to win it, and that's how it is. Anyone want to pick apart what we could talk about?
I've never hated you more than right now.
I'm so upset. But it's going to happen. I've accepted it. As an Arsenal fan, I accept failure all the time. So here we are.
Yeah.
Where do we feel about Rodri in the Ballon d'Or rankings?
Yeah, he's, I think, undoubtedly the best in his position. But then they just go to strikers forwards, don't they? It just gravitates towards those players.
We talked about stats being so important to it, but
stats is too influential.
A guy that doesn't get a lot of stats and influences the game.
Yeah,
maybe
it's
more
like Van
than
Dijk.
anyone else.
When Van Dijk had a really good shout in like 2019.
2019, he got second. Yeah, they got second that year. Yeah.
So there's those. I remember there was a really big shout for Manuel Neuer way back in the day, like 08 or 9 or 10 or something, round about there, because he changed the position of goalkeeping into that sweeper keeper kind of role. And then Ribery, right, but besides them, it's been a monopoly between the two.
Modric got it once.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Modric did get that one.
Which he shouldn't have, but that could be another discussion.
Yeah.
Well, I think the last defender to ever win. I guess Rodri's not a defender; he's a center mid, right? But Cannavaro, he won the Ballon d'Or, correct?
Right after they won
the World Cup.
So, if you watched Argentina play that World Cup, Messi carried that team in the World Cup.
I'm not disagreeing with that. And I do think the World Cup obviously holds the highest prestige in world soccer, but I don't know. I think it's time to move on. I think if you're ever going to move on, it's going to be next year. Obviously, I don't think anyone's going to put Ronaldo or Messi up for it. But for me,
was that your claim for him to not win it? Just because you want someone new?
No, I don't think he deserves it. But
okay,
that's fine.
Okay,
3 people agree that he deserves it. 3 people agree that he deserves it. 1 person doesn't. So I'm out in the cold, which is
Messi's worst year is better than majority of players' best ever season. I mean,
I'm not taking away from his brilliance. I just don't think he deserves it this year.
Okay.
I think Haaland did. Anyways, let's move on to match week 10. Looks like Messi's the majority here. Unanimous, number 1. He's going to win the Ballon d'Or.
If you guys disagree, put something in the comments so we know that DJ's an idiot. Please, somebody.
Yeah, please. I need a good humbling because I can't get it from this crew. Especially not on the talking points. Anyways, match week 10 is upon us, gentlemen. Let's talk about what's hot, what's not. Manchester Derby. Are United going to lose by 6?
Probably 7.
Not feeling great, eh, Kel?
I wouldn't put money against that.
We're not feeling too hot.
Well, why can United pull off a result here? This is not good.
Why can they?
How could we? Yeah. How's it gonna...
I know what Calmo's going to say.
Counterattack.
It has to be a counterattack. I mean, City haven't been at their best. They're still obviously levels above us, but they haven't been their best this year in the current form last few games. Just counterattack in the few chances we get, we have to finish them.
Yeah, moments of brilliance have to take chances, right?
Yeah, which has been almost impossible for us this year, but we have to one game. If there's one game to do it, it would be this game to finish.
I feel like we could see Højlund's best game because I feel like he's got a couple games in now. He's kind of like match fit or whatever. I feel like this could be, if he's going to play well, this could be a really, really good test for him because I feel like his body's ready. He's kind of played with the team enough. I couldn't tell you who's going to start though. Could you? I have no idea, which I think is bad. The fact that we can't tell because it's so on the day, you know.
Yeah, it's
I
not.
don't know, man.
I'm not looking forward to it.
I guess as a bystander with not our heart in it, Baron, what do you think?
City dominance. That's it.
Really?
It's gonna be bad for United, I think.
Is this game at United or at City?
United.
Oh, well, in that case,
Yeah, that changes
In that
everything.
case, let's put 5 as the over-under.
Yeah.
oof. Actually, I think this midweek result for you guys is going to do a lot for your confidence, especially Onana, a goalkeeper that.
Onana and Maguire.
Yeah.
And Maguire,
Might play
yeah.
well against Sheffield too.
Yeah. So, okay. Well, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
I think the real question is McTominay going to play up front or?
Oh man, I wouldn't
Not
be
the worst
surprised.
shout.
No, I don't know.
Just keep him away from the penalty box.
Shoot them outside the box. Don't go inside the box. That's it. No, bad Scott. Bad Scott. Yeah.
No, I think it's going to be a closer game than we think. I mean, throw form out the window a lot of times when it comes to derby games, especially in the same city.
Yeah.
Let's take away the Liverpool-Everton game just because Everton's in shambles and Liverpool's been top of the table for the longest time. I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be better than last year. What was it, 6-2?
6-3.
6-3. Okay, we'll fight for that goal. 6-3. It's not going to be the same this year. I think, like you said, City aren't firing on all cylinders. You guys have some confidence going into the game. You're going to play defensive. You're going to absorb pressure. And I think on the counter, that's unfortunately coming. I think Rashford's your greatest threat on the counter. We'll see. Can you guys pull off a draw?
I don't know. It's tough. You got the best right back in the world, and one person in this group thinks he's not even top 3 in England.
I didn't say that.
Well, that was embarrassing to listen to. Well, you got the best right back in the world whose pockets are empty right now, and Rashford's about to be inside one of them. So I don't know what's gonna happen there.
Come on, James. Who's a player you guys are looking to kind of take that game, I guess, by the balls and be the man for United to kind of lift them and motivate them and push through that game? Like, who's the guy?
Same answer for every game, and it's Bruno. That's it.
Yeah.
Kelman doesn't like him, but that's the only guy that we have on that team that's going to grab the game by the scruff of the neck. So
I'd agree.
If Bruno plays well, we play well. If he doesn't play well, normally we don't play that well. And I hate that we're balanced so much on one player, but I think that's kind of the way it is right now.
Come on, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying. I want to say whoever plays that 6. I don't know who it's going to be. If Amrabat's going to be in there, is Casemiro going to be? How long is he going to be out for? A while?
Let's just chuck Van de Beek in there, see how we do.
He's still on the team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he's on the bench. 45 million guy. Yeah, he's on the bench. No big deal.
I do think Eriksen will probably get the start after his last few games. And he's creative, but he's too slow for City.
How are these our options, man? What is it?
I honestly don't know how to answer. It's not Bruno or Rashford. It never will be. Yeah. We've had one good game this entire year. Do you guys know what game that was? The game they were both benched and didn't play 1 minute. Our only good game, 3-0.
This fucking guy, man.
We won 3-0. Other wins are won by 1 goal, and we don't even play good those games. We just get a result.
Kelly, dude, you're on one right now. All right.
Like
well, hey, yeah.
How is everyone so blinded by that? Or one good result that we actually dominated for 90 minutes?
Because
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Dude, if you sold all your assets, there's only 2 players that people will pay for.
I don't care who you're going to pay for. They're the worst 2 players. Please pay for them. Get them off my team.
At this point, Kummels willing to give the teams money to take him off his hands.
Yeah, you're telling me, dude. I mean, his team in fantasy football is called Trashbirds. What am I supposed to do?
I think it's been that for like 3 years in a row.
Yeah, dude, the guy doesn't stop.
They actually banned that name, so I had to change it.
That's crazy.
But we beat Palace 3-0 without them. We go in and lose to them 1-0 3 days later with them in the lineup.
Oh, that must mean that they're terrible then. That means they're 4 goals worse than all the players that played the other game.
I mean, every other game we don't win or we don't perform. So, I mean, that's not the only game that tells it. Sheffield is the worst team by miles. And
Are you happy? You lit this grenade, DJ.
Terrible.
Are you happy?
I did like this grenade, and I'm not
did.
happy, but I was happy to come and touch on the Sheffield game because you guys look like shit.
Exactly. And what 2 players featured in that game?
Okay. Anyways, let's move on. Kelman, for his sanity and whatever viewers we still have at this point, we need to move on. I was going to talk about Villa and Luton, but I'm going to throw a curveball because I could care less because that is the 12th straight home win right there.
Yeah.
Let's go to Wolves Newcastle, which is probably the second tastiest. I don't even know, man. Not a lot of good games going on other than the Manchester Derby. Yeah. What do we think? Wolves Newcastle. You got Gary O'Neill, who some people are just now familiar with because he beat his whole team.
Yeah. Taking
on Newcastle. What do we think is going to happen? I think it's going to be a Newcastle win, but I don't think it's going to be as comfortable as we think. I think this Wolves team has a lot of fight in them, and I think that's exactly what Newcastle's. I don't think they have a whole ton of talent, in my opinion. I think other than their defense and other than Bruno as a center defensive mid, I don't really believe too much in their attack. I don't. I think they're XG monsters right now, but they're only that because they played Sheffield with a team that quit at halftime and then just scored fucking 4 or 5 goals after that. I'm not super high on Newcastle. I think Wolves get a tie here. Am I the only one here as well? Same with the whole fucking Messi thing in the Ballon d'Or.
I think a team like Wolves, like they know themselves. Like we talked about earlier about building out of the back and goalkeeper playing. I think sometimes teams want to kind of get with the times and try and replicate what everyone else is doing. But like Wolves, they know who they are. They know how to scrap. Neto gets that ball. He knows I'm going to sprint down the sideline, whip it across, do it 8 times a game because, to be honest, no one's going to catch him. But I think that's what makes a team like that kind of dangerous in these games is that they stick to what they're good at and they don't go away from it. Even if it doesn't work for a game, they're not going to go to the locker room and be like, oh, we got to blow this all up and think of something new. Like, no, they're going to keep sticking to that plan. And I could even see them pull a win out of this game, to be honest with you. I think a draw isn't like the craziest thing to say. I'm a big fan of Newcastle. Personally, I love Isak, as we all know, one of my favorite guys up front. But, yeah, I think it wouldn't be crazy to say that Wolves could pull a tie or even maybe sneak a win in there.
Yeah, I agree. It's like one of those games. We'll see how Newcastle do away from home. I feel like Wolves have been turning it on. Like I said, I'm impressed with them. I'm impressed with Gary O'Neill, obviously. I'm a fan. So I actually don't like Eddie Howe, and I don't really have a good reason for this. It's just I don't like the way his face is just weird. He looks like a kid that would be. He looks like he'd be super annoying to talk to. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why. I feel like I have that face too. So like, if I get stuck in an elevator with fucking Eddie Howe, I don't know, for whatever reason, I would not be stoked. Is that a weird take? I don't know. And for that reason, I want Wolves to win. You know, that's the only skin I have in the game that I don't really like Eddie Howe's face. So
I actually kind of like that precedent because I don't like Cole Palmer at all because of his face.
They're just people, man.
Yeah.
They're just sometimes. Yeah. I don't know. I don't like it.
I get it, Kel.
I think it'll be a good one. I mean, Wolves at home are going to be tough to break down, but I still think it's Newcastle going to get them by a goal, 2-1. I can see the result being. Maybe they can squeak out a draw, but I don't know. I don't think they can score.
Okay, well, hey, away from Molyneux we go. We go to Bournemouth, Burnley, bottom of the table, relegation zone. Who's going to win, James? I know you're excited to talk about this one.
I just like Vincent Kompany. Weird. I have a thing for managers, I guess, right? But I like that someone has the balls to play really good football in Championship, passing football, and then try to do exactly the same thing. I respect it. It may not have worked, so maybe it's not the right thing to do. But I prefer that rather than someone that comes up playing long ball and just keeps on trying to play long ball. I don't know. You see it year in, year out. So it's just nice to see a team that's trying to, I guess there are those teams that come up that do try and play football, but I feel like Burnley, are definitely playing out of the back. They're like almost always trying to build from the back. I think Norwich did that previously, and Bournemouth did that with Eddie Howe when they came up as well. But like, I appreciate coming into the Premier League and trying to play your same style of football. So I think I want to see them turn around. I keep on expecting them to win, and they don't. So I'm probably going to go with Bournemouth just because home field advantage. But I'd love to see Burnley get something out of that game.
Go, Baron.
Yeah, I mean, it is nice to see a lower tier team try that, but there comes a point where you got to just get results. You saw it. I forgot what year it was when Norwich came up to the Premier League and they tried to play.
Yeah.
And they got relegated that same year.
Yeah.
But they look good some games, but it's just you against that level. It's just different. You just have to get results. So how much longer can he continue trying this before his job is under fire? One, or before he switches it up and tries to change things up and just get the results. At least versus against those better teams, change it up a little bit. Maybe against Sheffield or in Bournemouth, you can try to play a little more. But again, they're playing Bournemouth. I do think they can get a result this game, even though it's on the road. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Prediction?
Baron, I know you got something. Yeah, I know you're cooking something up.
I mean, James said it. I love company. I've just seen some like clips of him on the internet coaching and his intensity. It is refreshing to kind of see them try and stick with their plan, but I'll go back to what I said earlier. Like, you got to have some self-awareness as a club, and if it's not working, maybe switch it up. I think, like Elmo said, against the worst teams, the Sheffields, the Man Uniteds, you can try and play a little bit, but against those better clubs, you got to kind of recognize, like, hey, we got to do what we can to maybe try and squeak a draw out of this. Because the chance of us getting a win are slim to none, and if we can sneak away any type of points from big teams and maybe try and play against teams who are more our level, could help them stay in the Prem. But, yeah, right now it's kind of looking grim for them. But would be a big result for them to get a win here against Bournemouth. I mean, something to kind of get them kick-started in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback off of that, right? So, like, Burnley has a win in the table. You know who doesn't? Bournemouth, right? I think Areola is under a lot of pressure right now, especially with Gary O'Neill beating him. I don't think it's a good look having your old manager beating him. I think if any time he ever needed a result, it's right now. I mean, I almost thought that the coffin was closed after that Wolves game. I mean, it's a lot of crow to eat from the board of Bournemouth to replace a manager with your old manager who's doing better than you in the table, beats you, and then now you're sitting here like, okay, we're a little bit under the microscope, but who also wants to take on that Bournemouth project, right? I think Areola, I'm trying to remember what team he was managing over in Spain, but he was known for his expansive football, right? And what he's brought to Bournemouth might be expansive football, but they're not winning games. I mean, with a team like that and the pedigree of the players they have, maybe you can't play that way. Maybe you can't play expansive football the same way you can. That's a little more forgiving league in Spain. So I don't know. I think this is probably one of the bigger games of the weekend when it comes to who's getting relegated and who's staying in the league. My bet's on Burnley. I think Company's got the know-how of understanding that, yes, he's stuck to a way of playing, but you're going to get away with that with Bournemouth. The margin there.
By the way.
What's up?
Rayo Valencia.
Yeah.
Honestly,
honestly, you couldn't even tell me where the hell that club is located in Spain. But the fact that he was there and he's playing expansive football with that team makes perfect sense why Bournemouth were all in and got rid of Gary O'Neill. But yeah, at the same time, I do think Burnley comes out with a victory. I think it's a 2-1. I think it's a slow burn. It's not a game that everyone wants to watch. But if you're within one of those two camps, man, pressure's on. Any other predictions? Burnley winning it? Everyone?
No, I think Bournemouth.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Any disagreements? Cal, who do you have?
I got Burnley.
Burnley? Yeah. Baran?
I like a draw here. Boring game. Don't see a lot going on.
I got you, gentlemen. Well, hey, with the toilet bowl rounding out the week, this is all we got for match week 10 games. It's been fantastic having you guys here. Guys, thanks for your time. And if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and send a comment. Probably just not hating on one of us, but if you want to come at me, hey, it's all welcome, baby.
Tell GJ how wrong he is about Messi. Somebody, please.
Please help me out. Please help me out because I don't see it. See you, gents.
All right, guys. Peace.